important book that's come up that he's worked on for the last few years. My name's Wayne Kernoth. I'm the Aboriginal Torres Strait Organiser for United Voice. I'm also a Larrakia, as we're all on Larrakia country. I just want to start by paying respects to my people, the Larrakia people, my elders and ancestors. And also I'd like to acknowledge all our other mob that are here today from other areas, wherever you're from. And also I'd like to pay respects to everybody that's come down to help celebrate, this launch for Tommy, what he's been working on. I've known Tommy Mayo for about 30 years. We've played footy together as kids for the Mighty Brethren Rugby League Football Club. We bleed blue and white, me and Tommy. But also, growing up together through high school, learning his dances through Torres Strait Islander dancing, with a lot of other good mates and family of Tommy's that I know of that we all grew up together with. But yeah, I'd just like to end the welcome with the words of my uncle, the great Reverend Wally Fijo. You've come by way of Larrakia land. While you are here, you will hear the voices of our Larrakia ancestors. When you leave, the Larrakia message will stay with you. So welcome everybody. Just want to hand you over to our Super Malarndirri.
Thank you, my brother.
Before you start,
Yeah, no worries. Do you need to,
sorry,
do you need a sale happening here or something? No, it's all right, Sean.
sorry, the music was, thank you.
And we're just going live across Australia at the moment, so if there's anyone who wants to, buy some books now, Thomas can sign them. Firstly, can I just acknowledge the Larrakia people and thank you to Brother Wayne, always wonderful to stand beside this man and also to see his story in this amazing book that we're launching this evening. So I'd like to just say thank you, Wayne, to you and your mob and the heart story that comes in terms of the Larrakia story in this book. I just wanted to start with firstly acknowledging also Thomas and his family who are here today, and I think it's important that everyone's just aware of who is here in the audience. Certainly his beautiful wife Mel, and Ruby, and obviously William and Shayla and Tia, his children who are here, but also to Trish and Mark Drescher, parents, and to Gran there, Mari. Come on, bit of a wave happening. Yeah, that's all right. No, she knows. Hello. So I think it's just important to acknowledge Thomas's family and his mum and dad in particular, who've supported him all the way throughout life, but in particular in this last 18 months where it has been quite significant for him, as you'll see in the book, the amount of travelling that he's taken across Australia at the invitation of First Nations people who had attended at Uluru in May 2017. So I think it was quite significant. And we also have with the family some of the some people who might want to sign for your books later. Is that right, William? Yeah, I thought so. So I've just landed from Perth, came from Roebourne, just south of Karratha. And the reason why I share that with you is because it's quite significant, the story of Roebourne, that it'll be 36 years ago this week when a 16-year-old boy, John Pat, was killed in Roebourne, which began the first of the 99 deaths of Aboriginal people in custody for the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody. And Roebourne yesterday was filled with over 100 First Nations women who came to talk about where they're at in life and the importance of speaking the truth and having the system, the Australian system, at all levels of government, local, state, federal, respecting the voices of First Nations people. So it's really symbolic that this launch takes place this week, and I share that with you so you can see the journey is ongoing and has been for some time, the search for truth and the call, the passionate call for truth. I had an opportunity to read Thomas's book, and I thank you, Thomas, for that opportunity before today. And I just wanted to be able to go through a couple of sections in the book that I think is really quite a standout. And firstly, acknowledging the Anangu people, in particular the artists of this book, Rini Kuricha and Sammy Wilson, without whom this book wouldn't be possible because the Uluru Statement wouldn't be possible. And so I say, from our hearts to the Anangu people, thank you so much for your support for this statement of the heart, which now travels right around the country. The big story that really comes through in Thomas's writings, and I will come to Thomas in a moment in terms of his own story. I know you told me not to go for too long, but hey, I'll go. This is one of the profound things that stood out to me was the honesty, the heartfelt journey of Thomas's own journey right across the country, trying to understand from his days as a young man growing up here in Darwin with his mum and dad, his people on the Torres Straits, living and learning on Larrakia country, and then becoming involved with the union movement, which took him to another depth of learning and maturity about caring for all people, and that collectively, when we are standing strong together, we can move mountains. And Thomas's work with the Maritime Union in this country has been something that is really strongly reflected in this book, and his own searching as a unionist and an organiser, which has then gone on in terms of his work with the Uluru Statement. The theme of different voices comes through because we're listening to 20 people who've shared their story with Thomas, and I know there's many more that have shared their stories with Thomas. But one of the things that comes through in that storytelling is they speak from the heart, and they speak about their hopes and aspirations for our country as all people, as all Australians. But they also talk about the differences of opinion. And on one particular page, which I just wanted to read out to you, which I thought came through quite clearly, was about the differences in opinion of people, whether they agree with this direction, whether they don't agree as First Nations people. Thomas writes about the differences of First Nations people. We are a collective of around 700,000 Indigenous people, and we will always have different views. Our hope to reach a consensus was optimistic, especially if you consider that when Indigenous people gather, we bring with us the effects of colonisation, racism and inequality, intergenerational trauma, both physical and mental. To varying levels, the wounds are still weeping, the wounds are angry and raw. Our internal conflict is part of our journey, though it doesn't diminish our hope. It doesn't diminish our hope. And that's what this book's about. The very special, raw journey of all of those who've shared their stories with Thomas. And it is indeed a real honour to launch this book with Thomas this evening, and I urge all Australians to take the time to not only purchase this book, but to read it and take it to your heart. Congratulations, Thomas.
Thank you so much for that, Malarndirri, and for the welcome, Wayne. Pay my respects to the elders past and present as well, the Larrakia people, born and bred here, but still managed to live as an island man because we've got plenty of the right seafood here for us, and we managed to island dance and everything. And I've never been more nervous, to be honest, to speak in front of a crowd like this, you know, in my hometown. I've spoken all around the country a whole lot, but I haven't done a lot in my hometown since Uluru, and it's something that I hope that will change because we can't miss anywhere in this campaign. And I wrote this book because it is a campaign. I haven't written this book just to tell a story. I've written this book because I want change to happen. And I realised after 12 months of travel all around the country and meeting so many wonderful Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who you would think are ordinary, but if you listen to them, you would find so much depth of experience, of hope, the heartbreak and everything, but always the hope came through. And I think that comes through in the Uluru Statement itself. Malarndirri and I might read the Uluru Statement so you can feel the depth of the statement, and I'll kick it off, Malarndirri. We gathered at the 2017 National Constitutional Convention, coming from all points of the southern sky, make this statement from the heart.
Our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander tribes were the first sovereign nations of the Australian continent and its adjacent islands, and possessed it under our own laws and customs. This our ancestors did according to the record of our culture from the creation, according to the common law from time immemorial, and according to science more than 60,000 years ago.
This sovereignty is a spiritual notion, the ancestral tie between the land or Mother Nature and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who were born therefrom, remain attached thereto, and must one day return thither to be united with our ancestors. This link is the basis of the ownership of the soil, or better, of sovereignty. It has never been ceded or extinguished, and coexists with the sovereignty of the Crown.
How could it be otherwise? That people possessed a land for 60 millennia, and this sacred link disappears from world history in merely the last 200 years.
With substantive constitutional change and structural reform, we believe this ancient sovereignty can shine through as a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood.
Proportionately, we are the most incarcerated people on the planet. We are not an innately criminal people. Our children are alien from their families at unprecedented rates. This cannot be because we have no love for them. And our youth languish in detention in obscene numbers. They should be our hope for the future.
These dimensions of our crisis tell plainly the structural nature of our problem. This is a torment of our powerlessness.
We seek constitutional reforms to empower our people and take a rightful place in our own country. When we have power over our destiny, our children will flourish, they'll walk in two worlds, and their culture will be a gift to their country.
We call for the establishment of a First Nations voice enshrined in the Constitution.
Makarrata is the culmination of our agenda, the coming together after a struggle. It captures our aspirations for a fair and truthful relationship with the people of Australia and a better future for our children based on justice and self-determination.
We seek a Makarrata Commission to supervise a process of agreement making between governments and First Nations and truth-telling about our history.
In 1967, we were counted. In 2017, we seek to be heard. We leave base camp and start our trek across this vast country. We invite you to walk with us in a movement of the Australian people for a better future.
That's Uluru Statement. So it's very much about achieving those things, and I hope you'll learn in the book that there have been many other statements like the Uluru Statement. There was the Yirrkala Bark petitions, there was the Barunga Statement, there was the Larrakia petition here to the Queen. All of these statements and petitions have failed to be achieved because our hopes have been dashed against the rocks of political expediency. And so the Uluru Statement, you might note, is written to the Australian people. And so this time it's not for a king or a queen or Parliament itself to respond. It's for the Australian people to get behind and push for a referendum where we will have our say and we will enshrine a First Nations voice. In 1901, the Constitution excluded Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and the Constitution is the rule book of the nation. So this is something that we must address to complete our democracy. I hope that you guys will enjoy the book. I won't say much more other than I extend my greatest gratitude to family and friends and my comrades that have come to support me and to support this campaign.
Don't
And this is a book about action. It's a call to action. So before you leave, I have a proposal for you. I have some stamped letters here that are addressed to the Prime Minister, and some letters that are to the Prime Minister and the Minister for Indigenous Australians. they basically say to them that they should support this, the Uluru Statement and the proposals within it, and that we will be behind that cause if they take the leadership and do that. So please grab a letter and a thing, put your name on it, and leave the envelope on the desk here, and I'll post it for you. All right. Thanks everybody, and I've got a couple of gifts here before we finish up. I just want to give this to you, Malarndirri. Thank you so much for doing this. Yeah, thank you. My wife, Melanie, didn't tell her I was going to do this.
Come up, Mel. Come around. Come around. And Ruth.
Mel, thanks to you and the kids for being so patient and supporting all the travel and everything.
No worries.
Is there someone here called Ruby Mayer? Oh, this is for Ruby and William, but I think Ruby will appreciate them more. And last but not least, you'll see in my book there's some amazing artwork, and that is done by my daughter, Shayla Mayer. Shayla? She's extremely shy and she'll hate me for this. So thank you, comrades and friends and family. I hope you enjoy the book and the evening. Thank you.
Thanks so much.